Topic here is the U.S. plan to stop communism with the emphasis on domestic. So in class, you may possibly receive one of these two files here. If you get this file, it's simply just using the slideshow, answering the questions. As you can see, I have a picture of the slide here, and then you're answering the questions, creating a political cartoon. Or you might get this series of readings. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 readings. That would give us, 4 or 5 people in a group. And then you split up the readings. So keep in mind, we'll focus on the specific directions in class. Just kind of a recap, keep in mind you want to make sure you have an understanding of this chart, not only just the definition of the items in bold, but also how one leads to a redaction. So for example, the Warsaw Pact, yes, you have to know what it is, but you also have to know that it is a reaction to NATO. So keep that in mind. This test is a little different. We also have the ACT-REACT charts that were distributed in a prior class. I believe this is the Berlin airlift, the Berlin Wall, as well as the Cuban Missile Crisis. Let's take a look here at Executive Order 9835. What you want to do in your notes is you want to create this chart. So you want to make this chart with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 headings. And you're just trying to figure out what changes occurred domestically in the United States as a result of the Cold War. So this one is looking at employees of the government of the United States. Importance of persons employed in the federal service be of complete unswerving loyalty to the U.S. So they're looking for loyal people working in the United States. We also can see some attempt to investigate some individuals if they possibly are accused. So here it says subversive person, a threat to our democratic process. So for the most part, what's significant here is with this Executive Order 9835, they're looking at employees of the government. So employees of the government, you would want to put that, I guess, we could put that in the, let's see, U.S. Army maybe, McCarthy. We'll see how this kind of pans out with regard to colleges, even though the colleges are not necessarily a part of the government. However, the issue here is that the executive order does allow the FBI to investigate individuals. So here we're looking at community colleges, whether or not the FBI can look at business. Keep in mind the FBI deals with domestic, whereas the CIA deals with global issues. So notice here that they're requiring workers to take an oath, and at UCLA, faculty members are fired for simply refusing to take an oath. So that oath exists as a result of this particular executive order. So here we see this executive order. If I'm coming to class and talking about the benefits of communism, and the year is 1963, yes, you possibly could be in a problem at that particular moment. Let's see what else we have. Executive Order 10450. This one is targeting homosexuals. Notice how they are not using the term homosexual. They use the language sexual perversion. So notice that they also are looking at disgraceful conduct, use of intoxicants. So if you are somebody that's using drugs, if you are somebody pretty much is leading a life of maybe corruption, you could be a Klan member. Any of these items here would qualify, but we're concerned here about the intent. So how do homosexuals play into this? It's this coded language of sexual perversion. So the issue here is if it's a man with another man, according to the society of the time, that is going to possibly be labeled as a abnormal relationship. Keep in mind, homosexuality is viewed as a mental disorder, probably going to get the label sick. So what does that have to do with the government in Executive Order 10450? So let's just say in this situation, this individual is working on a computer, and the computer is the ARPANET, and the ARPANET is designed to work as a communication through a network of other computers in case there is a nuclear war. So this individual has sensitive information because of his job working for the government. So if this is a Russian spy, the Russian spy could easily ask to give up the secrets that he possesses. This individual could say, no, I'm a patriot. And this individual, maybe he has a photograph of this individual engaging in an act of sexual perversion. That would mean that that person is vulnerable to being blackmailed. And that seems to be the issue with Executive Order 10450. So you want to put down under homosexuals, the Executive Order 10450. Notice how I continue to use the image from Psycho. Now we're moving on to something a little more specific. The HUAC, the House Committee on Un-American Activities. Here they're looking for writers and directors. The Hollywood 10. These were people in Hollywood that were blacklisted. Blacklist pretty much means that you are on a list and they're probably not going to use you, or you are on a list being accused of having connections to communism and so on. So it's a list you probably don't want to be on. Herbert Biberman, as well as others, refused to answer questions in Congress. So you need to think about whether or not Congress is overreaching. Does Congress have the authority? So under film industry, you want to put the Hollywood 10. You want to put the HUAC. And that's it for that one. The nuclear monopoly. So 1949, Jill 1 is detonated, and this creates a situation where Americans panic. So there is a direct connection. Nuclear bomb goes off. The Soviets have the nuclear bomb. So let's start building bomb shelters. We already mentioned in previous screencasts about the Rosenbergs, who were accused of espionage and giving sensitive information to the Russians, which led to their execution. So what you need to put down is Joe 1. You can put the Rosenbergs here, and you definitely want to know what Joe 1 is. I'll treat it like a definition. So Senator McCarthy. So Senator McCarthy is the Army. He claims he has a list of communists, and people start to panic. Then the list starts to narrow down. Wait, 57. Then he starts arguing that we need to investigate the Army. Why is McCarthy significant? Because it leads to the McCarthy hearings. And for the most part, McCarthy is trying to claim that there is a list that he has of government officials that have connections to the communists, have communist ties. So think about how powerful that list could be. So if you ever hear the phrase McCarthyism, it is a reference to this particular time period. Then the Senate votes to censor this individual. McCarthy dies 3 years later. I believe if you click this link, it'll take you to some actual video footage of the McCarthy hearings. So if I asked you to make a prediction about these institutions in the boxes, what would you do? What would you say counts? And then you compare it to kind of the end of the screencast. Urban and suburban, that's really the bomb shelters. So when we take a look at some of the readings, 9835, let's see, this language here talks about sexual deviants being blackmailed for having some sort of just the ability, you're more vulnerable to be blackmailed. Here they talk about sexual psychopaths, mothers, look at the criteria, mothers who neglected their children, mothers who overindulged their sons. They turn them into passive, weak, effeminate perverts. So this is actually using an argument of mollycoddle, where the question of what makes somebody a sexual deviant, it's possibly a result of mom spending just too much time with the individual. So putting blame on the mother. Look up the term mollycoddle if you want some more information. We also have the reading here as far as the Reds, Americans building bomb shelters. And that's it for your responsibility on the domestic issues. Keep in mind, I probably will hold you accountable for this chart. That's it.